And then they call your name, and you think you're going to go in to see the doctor. But instead, they put you in that little room like solitary confinement now, right? And then you're sitting there for another hour. After a half an hour, you know, you weigh yourself 6 or 7 times. You play with them little foot pedals underneath the sink. After 45 minutes, you start thinking about things to steal. You know what else annoys me? This is election time all around the country. And politicians always start out in their campaigns with the same thing. They're not going to throw any dirt, but then somehow during the debates, they subtly do this. They'll say, ladies and gentlemen, there'll be no mudslinging during my campaign, unlike my gay opponent. I don't want to sound patronizing, but I think it's time that we have a woman president. I'm serious. I think it's time we have a woman president. Because women will stick to the issues, I'm sure. A woman president would know that you can't solve the problems in other countries until we solve the problems here at home. There's a woman from Florida, Senator Paula Hawkins, brilliant lady. She says if she becomes president of the United States, she's going to put pictures of missing husbands on the side of beer cans. If I was president of the United States, first thing I'm doing, I'm calling in our Secretary of Defense and I'm going to say, look, pal, you got to change your name. No one in the world is going to be afraid of a Secretary of Defense named Casper. I want a Secretary of Defense named Carmine or something like that. Sounds good to me. Although I do like the way he stood up to Gaddafi. See, I could never understand how anybody in their right mind can be afraid of this man, Gaddafi. I mean, this is not a mental giant, folks. I mean, think about what I'm talking about. Here's a guy who owns his own country. He only made himself a colonel. Come on, we got guys in this country who'll kill chickens. We make them colonels. Now, I saw Caspar Weinberg on the news last night, our Secretary of Defense, and he said we have the strongest military in the world, and he was bragging about the fact that we're now trying to develop a hand grenade that can blow up everything within a 2-mile radius. All we need now is a guy who can throw it and run 3 miles in 5 seconds. And there's spies everywhere now. Do you read it? The one spy that fascinated me, this guy named John Walker, was a welder in a shipyard, 18 years. And he was a spy. Now, that didn't fascinate me. What fascinated me was he taught his son to be a spy. I can't get my kid to empty the garbage. And his wife said she didn't know. 3 people in the house, 2 were spies. She didn't know. She wasn't curious when one week he got a $200,000 raise? My son spends 18 hours a day on the couch. The other day he told me, he said he wishes life was more like MTV. So I put a leather glove on and slapped him off the couch. Now, today in the news, it was in the news today, they found oil in Mexico. And our government came up with a brilliant idea right away. They wanted to build a pipeline. Rather than us deal with the Arab nations now, they're going to build a pipeline from Mexico to Los Angeles. That's stupid. Why don't we just insist that every illegal alien carry 1 quart of oil across the border? Thank you very much.
That's very funny stuff. That's good stuff.
Thank you.
Made himself a colonel. What a dummy. I didn't know this until somebody told me. You used to be a bartender.
Oh, yeah. And shot in beer places on the south side of Chicago, my hometown.
I didn't? No kidding?
A roughhouse joint where you'd serve a beer and break up a fight and serve a beer and break up a fight. But occasionally, I shouldn't say, we had a lot of nice people coming there. But one night, I remember I was reading I was a bartender, and I was reading in a magazine that afternoon that if someone has the hiccups, and that happens a lot in the bar, right, that if you shock them or scare them, the hiccups will go away.
Yeah.
And there's a banquet room in the bar, on the other side of the bar, and a woman came to the bar that night, elegantly dressed. This is true. She said, very nice lady, she said, what do you recommend for the hiccups? I said, I remember you. You're the lady who was arrested for indecent exposure last year. She said, what? I said, the lady who took off all her clothes and the cops had to come because you were naked running through. She said, I beg your pardon? And I said, how about your hiccups? She said, I don't have the hiccups. My husband does. He's in
We'll be right back.